Hey everyone, and welcome back to Craggy Brook Witchery. It's a Saturday morning. I've got my coffee here. I hope that you guys have something wonderful to start your day. And I just wanted to return to the charm board again with the tarot card inserts. I wanted to mention, because it is quite important for this sheet, that each of these segments that you see around the board for the water, air, earth, fire, and you can see a little bit better in this section here. What I've done is to bring in the minors to each of these sections. The majors are brought in with the actual charms. So each of these are making up the total of the minors, including the page, knight, queen, and king. And I just found it easier in the design not to put the majors on the board. So then I had to solve the problem of how to bring it in, and that was solved by bringing charms that represented each of the majors. So I'm going to go to the little board I have to the left here, and I've separated each of the charms to show you, and I'll do that in a second. But I just wanted to say, if you're new to charms, it did help me to have a little book that I could record some of the meanings that were coming up for me or that I could use for each charm. So this just opens up, and I could easily stick this in my tarot bag or charm bag when I was going out. And some of the metaphysical stores, this one actually came from a thrift store. It had the little star charm in it, and it did give me information that I could tap into when reading and the starfish came up. But everyone else can make up their own meanings, whatever they want. Okay, so these are just pages of alphabetically organized. So there you can see the elephant and some of the things that I might bring in when working with that charm. So find your own way. This worked for me, a little tiny book, alphabetically organized. And I could feel confident if I was stuck at the first when I was new to reading charms, that I could pull this out and talk to the person about some of the ideas that I had found symbolic to that charm. So now I'm going to take away the center ball that we would drop the tarot charms onto. And if you haven't seen the other videos prior to this, it would help for you to watch the intro to charms and number 2, because this is number 3, and I'm not going to go as in-depth with this video. So I'm taking the charm, drop her away, and I'm just going to step up for a second and grab the other board. Okay, now I'm going to have to try to get a little bit closer. And zero in a little bit more without losing everything. I'll go to the left here and show you that I'm using some of the stickers that you can purchase online that represent the majors. And these are great to have when you're journaling. Zooming back out again, so you can see it starts with the Fool in the upper left-hand corner, and we travel along through the Fool's journey all the way down to the World card. But we're not using tarot cards at this moment. We are using the charms. And I think that's about as close as I can get right now. So when you think of the Fool card, and you're going to have to, when you're out hunting for charms, use your imagination. And sometimes it's whatever you can find and making it fit. So for me, the Fool card does include a little doggy. You can see my little doggy there. And so when that one came up, I would be thinking of the 0 card in the tarot majors and the Fool. And I could talk all about that card if need be, but this would be my trigger to see that little doggy fall in place. Now the next one, I'm going to pick it up for a second. Showed this one the other day. This is Merlin. So this for me is going with the Magician card, card number 1. Now for the next one, the High Priestess, she does sometimes in the decks that I have a cat. And so this Siamese cat, if I can get it in focus here, yes, that would be representing the High Priestess card. Now the other little one following along would be the Empress. And because I think of the Empress as very open, caring, loving, nurturing, the kind of lady that always has the teapot on and the cookies baked. So I use the teapot and the little teacup charm for the Empress. Now the Emperor, he's a little bit more difficult to open and be open. And yes, he does sometimes represent the father figure for myself when he comes up, but the best that I could come or find in a store that came close to what I could use symbolically was this lock. And the next one being the Pope. That's all about faith to some people, but it's also about following traditions. Someone who might be very involved in the church and looking for advice from a higher being, a higher spirit guide. You get the idea. So this one related to the Pope or the Papess. And then we have the Lover's Charm. So this just spells out the word love. And we know that it's not completely descriptive-wise about love, but it's about trust and sharing and having an open heart and building relationships. Okay, now for the Chariot, that was a tricky one for me to find. So I got a motorcycle. I guess some might call that a chopper. But that represented movement for me and wheels and everything that goes along with the Chariot card. Now for the Strength card, I did manage to find, come on baby, there you go. This one looks more like a tiger, but it would bring the energy of the Strength card with the lion into it and our own personal strengths. And then after that comes the Hermit card, the wise one. So of course I found an owl. Then we have the Wheel of Fortune or Wheel of Destiny, and this is my wheel. And then the Justice card, that came quite easily. The Scales of Justice. The other one is a little bit trickier probably for people. It's the Singular Boot. And this is representing for me the Hangman, because if you only got one boot, you ain't going too far, too fast. So a little bit of humor there. And the Death card, that wasn't too hard to find. A skull, transformation, change. Endings, new beginnings. Now the Temperance, it wasn't too bad either because I did find these wings with the heart. And when I look at the Temperance card, you definitely notice the wings in some of the decks on the angel with his one foot in the water and one on the rock. Now the Devil, that was a fun one too. I sometimes think about control, sexuality, and so it's the handcuffs. The Tower card, I'm not remembering why I chose the key other than it is a building and to enter it you would need a key. And it also represents key sudden changes. So I guess that's why I picked the key. Key moments to remember. The Star card, there's the starfish from that little booklet descriptive page that I showed earlier. Followed by the Moon card, and that wasn't too hard to find a charm with a moon on it. This one's quite pleasant. And then we have the Sun card. And I do bring in the fact that sometimes the charms end up right side or flipped. So I do bring in then the information I can gather, like using a reversal if it's flipped over. There's uprights and there's reversals. And then the next one is the Judgment card. And I used a bugle because some of the cards do have the angel blowing the horn. And then the last card was the World, which for some people is celebration, accomplishment, and sometimes people do bring a bottle of champagne to an event when they've succeeded at something or are celebrating something. So then all of these charms would be dropped on the ball and read as a grouping, as a pairing for whatever it's landing upon. So I'm hoping that this was helpful for you. And I know that when you embark on this, you're really going to enjoy finding your own charms and putting meanings to it and creating that little booklet just as a little cheat sheet for the first bit. Unless you're highly intuitive and right off the bat, everything races together for you. I'm going to end this video here today with this and wish you happy hunting with your charms and connecting with your spirit guides, your guardian angels through the charm board and the charms. So blessings. Have a fabulous weekend.